Weather can be beautiful, powerful, and completely unbelievable. Did you know lightning can become hotter than the surface of the sun? Or that a single cloud can weigh more than 1 million pounds? From snow falling in the Sahara Desert to fish genuinely falling from the sky. These 7 incredible weather facts sound completely fake, but every one of them is true. So get ready for storms, snow, clouds, rain, and some of the strangest weather events on Earth. When most people think of the hottest thing nearby, they probably imagine the sun. But during a thunderstorm, something in Earth's atmosphere can briefly become even hotter. Lightning. As a lightning bolt travels through the sky, it forces an enormous electrical current through the surrounding air. Air is normally a poor conductor of electricity, so it rapidly heats up as the lightning passes through it. For a tiny fraction of a second, the air inside the lightning channel can reach temperatures of around 50,000 degrees Fahrenheit. That is roughly 5 times hotter than the surface of the sun. But this extreme heat does not last for long. The heated air suddenly expands at incredible speed, producing a powerful shock wave. That shock wave is what creates the loud crack and rumbling sound we call thunder. The lightning reaches you almost instantly because light travels extremely fast, but sound moves much more slowly, which is why you normally see the flash before you hear the thunder. So lightning is not simply a bright flash in the sky. It is a massive electrical discharge that can heat the surrounding air to an almost unbelievable temperature. Lightning being 5 times hotter than the sun's surface sounds fake, but it is completely real. When you look up at a cloud, it seems almost weightless. It floats gently across the sky, looking soft enough to pass straight through. But clouds are much heavier than they appear. A typical cumulus cloud can contain around 1 million pounds of water. That is roughly the weight of several hundred cars. So how can something that heavy stay in the sky? A cloud is not one enormous solid object. It is made from billions of incredibly tiny water droplets and ice crystals spread throughout a huge area of air. Each individual droplet is so small and light that rising air currents can keep it suspended above the ground. As warm air rises, it cools, causing water vapor to condense into these tiny droplets. They gather together to create the cloud that we can see. But when the droplets collide and become too large and heavy for the air to support, they begin falling as rain. Storm clouds can contain far more water and weigh millions, or even billions, of pounds. So the next time you see a fluffy cloud drifting overhead, remember that it may be carrying an unbelievable amount of water. A cloud weighing more than 1 million pounds sounds fake, but it is completely real. You know that fresh, earthy smell that appears just after rain begins? It actually has a name: petrichor. The smell is especially noticeable when rain falls after a long period of warm, dry weather. During dry conditions, plants release natural oils that collect on soil, rocks, and pavements. Tiny bacteria living in the ground also produce a substance called geosmin. When raindrops hit the surface, they trap tiny bubbles of air. Those bubbles quickly rise and burst, releasing microscopic droplets into the atmosphere. These droplets carry the plant oils and geosmin into the air, creating the familiar smell we associate with fresh rain. Humans are incredibly sensitive to geosmin, which is why we can notice the scent even when only a tiny amount is present. The smell can be strongest during light or gentle rain, because the droplets release more of these tiny particles without immediately washing everything away. So that fresh smell is not actually the rain itself. It comes from the ground, plants, and microorganisms reacting when the rain arrives. The smell after rain having its own name sounds strange, but petrichor is completely real. When people draw a raindrop, they usually give it a rounded bottom and a pointed top, the classic teardrop shape. But real raindrops do not actually look like that while they are falling. Very small raindrops are almost perfectly round. This happens because surface tension pulls the water inward, forming the smallest and most stable shape possible. As a raindrop becomes larger and begins falling faster, air pushes against its underside. This pressure causes the bottom of the drop to flatten, while the top remains rounded. Instead of looking like a tear, a larger raindrop can look more like a hamburger bun. And if a drop becomes too large, the air pressure can distort it so much that it breaks apart into several smaller droplets. The teardrop shape often appears in pictures because water dripping slowly from a tap can stretch before separating. But once that drop is falling freely through the air, surface tension quickly pulls it into a rounder shape. So the familiar pointed raindrop seen in cartoons, weather symbols, and drawings is not what rain really looks like. Real raindrops are round, flattened, and constantly changing shape as they fall. Raindrops not being shaped like tears sounds strange, but it is completely true. When most people imagine the Sahara Desert, they picture endless sand dunes beneath intense heat. So the idea of snow falling there sounds almost impossible. But it really can happen. The Sahara is famous for its scorching daytime temperatures, but desert temperatures can fall dramatically during winter, especially at night and in high areas. One place where snow has been recorded is Ain Sefra in northern Algeria, near the Atlas Mountains and the edge of the Sahara. When unusually cold air moves across the region and meets enough moisture, temperatures can drop low enough for snow to form. In December 2016, snow covered parts of the orange desert landscape near Ain Sefra. NASA satellites captured the unusual sight from space. Another rare snowfall was photographed in the same area in January 2018, leaving white snow spread across the surrounding dunes. The snow usually does not remain for very long. Once the sun rises and temperatures increase, much of it quickly melts away. These events are extremely rare, but they prove that deserts are not always permanently hot. A desert is defined mainly by how little precipitation it receives, not by its temperature. So yes, even one of the hottest and driest places on Earth can sometimes be covered in snow. Snow falling in the Sahara sounds fake, but it is completely real. When most people picture a desert, they imagine scorching heat, endless sand dunes, and almost no water. So Antarctica seems like the complete opposite. It is covered in snow and ice, and it is the coldest continent on Earth. But surprisingly, Antarctica is actually the largest desert in the world. A desert is not defined by how hot it is. It is defined by how little precipitation it receives. And across much of Antarctica, hardly any rain or snow falls each year. Some inland areas receive less precipitation than many of the world's hottest deserts. The enormous ice sheet covering the continent was built up over millions of years. Because temperatures remain so low, the snow that does fall rarely melts. Instead, it becomes compressed into thick layers of ice. The dry Antarctic air also holds very little moisture, making fresh snowfall surprisingly uncommon in some regions. This is why parts of Antarctica are known as polar deserts. They are freezing cold, extremely dry, and often battered by powerful winds. So even though Antarctica contains most of Earth's frozen fresh water, very little new water actually falls from the sky. Antarctica being a desert sounds completely wrong, but it is absolutely true. Imagine walking outside during a storm, and suddenly, fish begin falling from the sky. It sounds like something from a strange film, but reports of fish rain have been recorded in different parts of the world for centuries. The most likely explanation involves powerful rotating columns of air called waterspouts. Waterspouts form over lakes, seas, and other bodies of water. Their strong winds can lift spray, debris, and sometimes small animals from near the water surface. Fish may then be carried upward and transported some distance inside the storm. When the winds weaken or the waterspout breaks apart, the fish fall back towards the ground. This can make it appear as though they are falling with the rain. Some reported events have left fish scattered across roads, fields, gardens, and even rooftops. In certain cases, some of the fish were reportedly still alive after landing. Fish rain is extremely unusual, and not every report has been fully explained. But strong winds and waterspouts provide a realistic way for small fish to be lifted and dropped far from the water. So fish falling from the sky sounds completely impossible. But under the right weather conditions, it really can happen.